postseason gets underway tomorrow. The newly revised wild card format. Rays and Guardians kick off a 4-game slate, and the nightcap sees the Padres visit the Mets. No longer are we doing that one and done. It's a best of 3 with all home games at the higher seat. Now, let's take a look at the series prices at Caesars Sportsbook. The Padres-Mets series sees the largest gap in odds, sandwiched in between the 2 series I mentioned, Phillies and Cardinals, in the 2 p.m. slot, Mariners and Blue Jays in the 4 p.m. window. And as of this morning, it looks like Seattle's the only team yet to have announced their Game 1 starter. Oh, you know what time it is. I only say it like twice a year. It's playoff baseball time, which means it's Jim Bowden time, our front office insider joining us here at CBS Sports HQ. So let's start with the night game there, Jim, and that series. When we take a look at the pitching matchup, why might the Padres actually be better than the Mets when it comes to their big 3?
Because, Tommy, we have to look at what's happened to these pitchers recently. That does matter as you head into the playoffs. And the New York Mets' top 3 starters are not living up to their names. They're not living up to what we expect. Let me start with Jacob Degrom. His last 4 starts, he's given up 3 earned runs or more in all of them. When's the last time you ever saw Jacob Degrom do that? And by the way, in those 4 starts, he's given up 6 home runs. 6. That is not Jacob Degrom, and that's telling you he doesn't have command of the baseball over those last 4 starts. He has also been complaining about a blister, although I thought his slider looked really good at the end of his last start. Now, Max Scherzer has an oblique injury. So what have we seen his last 2 starts? 11 2/3 innings, 13 hits, 5 runs, and 3 home runs. That's not Max Scherzer, is it? And how about Chris Bassett over his last 4 starts? 19 2/3 innings, 11 runs, and 4 home runs. So we're talking about 13 home runs in their last 10 starts. Like, that is not Degrom, Scherzer, and Bassett. So that's a concern. Let's go to the other side with San Diego. Their 3 starters are pitching the best they have all year long. Joe Musgrove over his last 6 starts has an ERA of 2.56. You've got Blake Snell, who is throwing the best he has. His last 4 starts, 25 innings, 2 earned runs. 25 innings, 2 earned runs with 32 strikeouts. He's got his best fastball of the year going right now. And Yu Darvish has dominated the Mets. Back on June 7th, 7 innings, 2 hit shutout ball. Pitched against them on July 22nd. 7 innings of 1 earned ball. And oh, by the way, the last 6 starts, 5-1 with a 1.85 ERA. I think there's a good argument that the Padres actually on this particular weekend have the better 3 starters going into the game based on recency bias.
That is interesting. And Jim, let me follow up on Jacob Degrom, because what are you hearing about him potentially? Not only did he not start Game 1 on Friday, he may be used in an emergency role for Game 3. I mean, what's the plan for Buck Showalter in a perfect world for the Mets?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is what Buck Showalter is thinking of doing is start Max Scherzer Friday, Chris Bassett Sunday, and then if the series is 1-1, Degrom pitches the clinch game, Game 3. If they're able to win it in 2, then you would have Degrom ready to go in Game 1 of the division series. So that's the thinking of Buck. Now, let me tell you my concern. Most teams would start Degrom Friday, Scherzer Saturday, and Bassett if needed Sunday, right? What I'm worried about is what we just talked about. Is the blister bothering him, or is something else physically bothering him and they're not going to tell anyone? Again, last 4 starts, 3 earned runs or more in all of them. Doesn't sound like Jacob Degrom. When Jacob Degrom's healthy, he's the best pitcher on the planet. I mean, he's a guy that you expect 7 innings, 1 run, and walk off the field. And that's not what we're seeing. So I'm curious to know if maybe there's something more to this story, but they're not being transparent about it.
Not what you want to hear from a 100-win team that led its division for most of the year until the final week. All right, let's get to the lineups, Jim. If I were to ask you bigger impact here, Machado and Soto from San Diego or Alonso and Lindor in New York?
Well, first of all, it's really close, and whoever wins this series, they're 2 big dogs are going to have to deliver. I'm going to take Machado and Soto here. Machado's got a 6.8 WAR this year, 32 homers, 100 runs scored, 102 RBIs. Magnificent defensive player making all the plays. Juan Soto's got a 5.6 WAR this year. He's been quiet, though, basically since the Padres acquired him from the Nationals at the trade deadline. But I think Soto on the biggest stage in the biggest moments is a guy that I'll always bet on. So I'll always take Machado and Soto over those 2. And more importantly, those 2 guys hit good pitching, right? They can hit your nastiest breaking ball. They can hit any velocity, any part of the strike zone, north, south, east, west. So I'll take them. On the other side, look, Pete Alonso, 40 homers, 131 RBIs, an incredible year. Below average defender at first base, and he does have holes at the plate, and you can pitch to him, and you're facing a trio of Padres starters that can locate. A little bit of worried there. Francisco Lindor, great player, having a tremendous season. I love the range to both sides, the energy that he brings, average, power, love him a lot. But again, between those duos, I'm going to take Machado and Soto, Batman and Robin.
All right, Jim, let's package it all together. Who advances to take on the Dodgers in the DS?
I'm going with the underdog, Tommy. I am. I know I'm probably going to be the only analyst that's going this way, but I'm going to take the Padres upsetting the Mets in Citi Field. I know Mets fans will be disappointed if that happens, but they've got an advantage starting pitching. Look, the rest of the team, I like the Mets bullpen in the ninth inning better because Edwin Diaz was the best closer in the National League this year. But here's the problem they're going to have. What if Degrom, Scherzer, and Bassett get knocked out early? I'm worried about the bridge getting to Diaz. Talk about the lineup. I think the Mets is a little bit deeper, to be honest. I mean, for the Padres offense to win, they need the big donkeys to get it done, Machado and Soto. Defensively, Mets have a little bit of an advantage. But look, I'm going to go with the narrative that we started this segment with. I'm going with the narrative that the Padres starters are better right now, and that's going to carry them to a huge underdog upset series win.
A juicy plus 150 for the Padres there for that series price. Let's get to the other wild card series there. Cards and Phillies. Bigger impact in terms of the bats once again. Arenado and Goldie or Schwarber and Hoskins?
Oh, Tommy, you're not really asking me this one, are you? I know you're not. All right, Goldie and Arenado by far. Paul Goldschmidt's going to win the Most Valuable Player Award this year in the National League. Hit .317, led the league with a .981 OPS, 35 homers, 115 RBIs, 41 doubles, and he's going to win the Gold Glove, and he's going to win the Silver Slugger, and he's one of the best base runners in the sport, and just has that calm, slow heartbeat approach. Nolan Arenado is the best defensive third baseman on planet Earth. He gets to balls that no other third baseman get to. He's a Gold Glove winner. He's got a 7.9 WAR this year. I'm not making that up. This is a guy, 30 homers, 103 RBIs. How about an OPS plus of 154? That means he's 54% better than the average player. So these guys are superstars. On the other side, Kyle Schwarber led the league with 46 homers, but I can pitch to him. He hit .218. He's got 200 punch-outs. Be careful with him. Pitch to him. You can get him out. Rhys Hoskins loved the 30 homers. Hit .246 with 169 strikeouts. Too many holes at the plate there. So Goldie Arenado's the answer, Tommy Tran.
All right, so there's not a real small gap between that discussion, but is there a bigger gap when we ask you for a series winner because the series price is similar to Padres and Mets? Who are you going with, Philly or St. Louis for the series?
All right, I'm going to go with St. Louis. I'm going to go because they have 3 home games, and they've got Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Albert Pujols, who, by the way, over the last month has led this team in both homers and RBIs. I'm going to go there, but I want to mention this. You can see the Phillies have a runway to upset as well, right? Why? Because they've got Aaron Nola, who's got a 2.36 ERA this month, Zach Wheeler, who's got an 0.60 ERA this month, and Ranger Suarez on the mound. They're going to have a starting pitcher advantage in every game of this series. Their starters are just better. Cardinals, however, have a way better bullpen, including closer Ryan Helsley, whose fastball is, 102 to 104 miles an hour. I like the Cardinals lineup better because there's more contact with it. There's more speed with it. The defense isn't even worth the discussion. The Cardinals is so much better. In fact, the Cardinals have a run differential of 68. Phillies are minus 31. They're the worst defensive team in this entire playoffs, and you wonder if they should even be there. But the Phillies have the starting pitching, and they have the power, right? We talked about Schwarber's 46, Hoskins 30, and oh, by the way, they've got Harper, they've got Castellanos, they've got Alec Bohm. So they're sitting there with a runway. Starters, home runs, they could win the series. But I'm going with bullpen and defense and the home crowd of St. Louis, and I'm going with the baseball gods, who I don't think want Pujols and Molina to be eliminated in the wild card round. I'll take the Cardinals, but I think it's a series.
All right. The great Jim Bowden with that National League focus with the wild card series getting underway on Friday. Jim, thank you very much. Again, taking a look at the schedule, I want to remind you, if you love what we just had from Jim right there, check out HQ tomorrow night, 8 to 9 p.m. on Sportsline, a live betting hour with Jim Bowden, Mike McClure, John Bowman. We're going to be talking and focusing Padres-Mets. Hope to see you then.
You want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game, the highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.